It's like the mainstream media breaks out in hives every time someone dares to use common sense. And Karoline Leavitt? She's giving them a full-blown outbreak. She's not just taking questions as Trump's press secretary. She's flipping the script and burning through their tired narratives like a blowtorch. In record time, Karoline has made one thing clear. She's not here to play nice with media spin. When reporters throw out their predictable talking points, she doesn't blink. She fires back with cold, hard facts that leave the room stunned. Today, we're breaking down her most jaw-dropping moments, from her sharpest clapbacks to the chaos of her latest White House briefing.
White House officials made the decision to bar the AP reporter from the Oval Office and the diplomatic reception room last night.
Well, first of all, let me just set the record straight. It is a privilege to cover this White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary. And nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the President of the United States questions. That's an invitation that is given. And there are hundreds of outlets on this campus, many of you in this room who don't have the privilege of being part of that pool every single day and getting to ask the President questions. We reserve the right to decide who gets to go into the Oval Office, and you all have credentials to be here, including the Associated Press, who is in this briefing room.
Here's where it all started, the meltdown over a name. The Associated Press refused to acknowledge the Gulf of America, stubbornly clinging to Gulf of Mexico. Their excuse? It's been that way for centuries, and no international agency approved the change. Typical corporate journalism move, act like gatekeepers of history. But that was just the warm-up, because seconds later, a CNN reporter dropped the real grenade that sent the briefing room into chaos.
I was very upfront in my briefing on day one that if we feel that there are lies being pushed by outlets in this room, we are going to hold those lies accountable. And it is a fact that the body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America. And I'm not sure why news outlets don't want to call it that, but that is what it is. The Secretary of Interior has made that the official designation in the geographical identification name server, and Apple has recognized that, Google has recognized that, pretty much every other outlet in this room has recognized that body of water as the Gulf of America, and it's very important to this administration that we get that right, not just for people here at home, but also for the rest.
Let's be honest. The AP's problem isn't about names. It's about ego. They're not acting like reporters. They're acting like activists with press passes. After losing their access, AP's top editor fired off a dramatic letter whining about retaliation and attacks on free speech. Spare us the performance. No one's silencing them. They're just being held accountable for peddling bias. The truth? Most Americans stopped taking them seriously years ago. Maybe try journalism again instead of playing victim. Anyway, that's when another reporter embarrassed themselves by admitting they didn't even know crossing the border illegally is, well, illegal.
The 3,500 arrests ICE has made so far since President Trump came back into office. Can you just tell us the numbers? How many have a criminal record versus those who are just in the country illegally?
All of them, because they illegally broke our nation's laws and therefore they are criminals as far as this administration goes. I know the last administration didn't see it that way, so it's a big culture shift in our nation to view someone who breaks our immigration laws as a criminal, but that's exactly what they are.
Jackie, the worst first. They all have a criminal record.
And welcome to the briefing
If they broke our nation's laws, yes, they are a criminal. Yes.
Thank you.
His right here is why illegal crossings have dropped by 90% since Trump came back. Just check the numbers. Even the New York Post couldn't ignore it. But don't expect the mainstream outlets to admit it. The difference is simple. When you enforce the law, chaos stops. The flood becomes a trickle. And Karoline didn't stop there. She turned the flamethrower on the left's over-the-top outrage during those so-called anti-Doge political stunts.
May I just point out, if you heard that type of violent, enticing rhetoric from our side of the aisle, from Republican leaders on Capitol Hill, I think there would be a lot more outrage in this room today. It's unacceptable, the comments that have been made by these Democrat leaders, and frankly, they don't even know what they're talking about. Because President Trump was elected with a mandate from the American people to make this government more efficient. He campaigned across this country with Elon Musk, vowing that Elon was going to head up the Department of Government Efficiency, and the two of them, with a great team around them, were going to look at the receipts of this federal government and ensure it's accountable to American taxpayers. That's all that is happening here, and for Democrat officials to incite violence and encourage Americans to take to the streets is incredibly alarming, and they should be held accountable for that.
The spectacle was insane. Left-wing lawmakers had full-on meltdowns, acting like the sky was falling. But let's be real, if anyone on the right said half of what they did, the media would demand lifetime bans. Smash that like button if you're sick of the double standards. And here's the kicker. Most of them weren't even upset about government waste. They were obsessing over Elon Musk and memes. Then Karoline dropped the hammer, calling out Politico and exposing what they didn't want anyone to know.
So upon coming out here to the briefing room, I was made aware of the funding from USAID to media outlets, including Politico, who I know has a seat in this room. And I can confirm that the more than $8 million taxpayer dollars that have gone to essentially subsidizing subscriptions to Politico on the American taxpayer's dime will no longer be happening. The Doge team is working on canceling those payments now. Again, this is a whole of government effort to ensure that we are going line by line when it comes to the federal government's book.
Time for the facts. Did Politico personally pocket $8.2 million in taxpayer money? Not exactly, but they sure benefited from it through Pro subscriptions, their high-priced insider policy service. While not every dime came from USAID, federal agencies helped foot the bill. Politico tried to play word games, saying they don't take government funding. Technically true, but misleading. Those are still taxpayer-funded accounts pumping cash into their system. Some subscriptions cost up to $15,000 a year. Do the math. It doesn't take many government sign-ups to hit 8 million. And right as that story broke, chaos erupted. Reporters shouting, the room spinning. And Karoline still managed to stay composed and take control.
Common sense approach.
The president said he would work on extending the Abraham Accords, and Mr. Witkoff, the president said he wants to...
Yeah, thank you. Can you direct traffic? Yeah, thanks.
Let's act like adults here. They are generously offering their time to answer your questions. You don't need to scream at them like a bunch of school children. Ouija, go ahead.
Thank you very much.
Karoline's reach goes far beyond that podium. She wrapped her very first briefing by taking a few perfectly aimed swings at Joe Biden, and the crowd went silent. It was sharp, bold, and downright electric. She didn't just answer questions, she dominated the room.
That's a good question, April. So look, the president, as you know, is incredibly accessible. First day here, he wanted all of you in the Oval Office. You got a 60-minute press conference with the leader of the free world while he was simultaneously signing executive orders. I may add, that's pretty impressive. I don't think the previous office holder would be able to pull such a thing off. So look, the president is the best spokesperson that this White House has, and I can assure you that you will be hearing from both him and me as much as possible.
And that, folks, is how you handle a press corps that's allergic to accountability. Karoline Leavitt isn't just surviving the media circus. She's running it. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of her moments was your favorite? Drop it down in the comments. And if your friends need to see a masterclass in media takedowns, hit that share button. Trust me, they'll thank you later.